So this is another sketchbook tour. This sketchbook is from 2017, 2018. A lot of times I will just go outside in my yard and paint. This is a cactus right outside my studio. I tell my students this all the time. If you don't know what to do, just grab your sketchbook and paint whatever is in front of you. This is the ridgeline of Elysian Park. This is across the street from my house, and this little tiny bit of landscape has actually shown up in a lot of my paintings. Oh, this is a hammock painting from when I was camping in Yosemite. I haven't looked at this in a while, so it's kind of fun to go through memory lane. Maybe some people keep scrapbooks, but artists keep sketchbooks as a way to keep track of our lives. This is my tent in Yosemite. Oh, I can't wait to go camping again. Show invite. This is the people at Old Faithful. I'm a big dork, and I love the stamps they give you at the visitor center in the parks. My iron skillet. I love my iron skillet. I always take it camping because everything tastes better cooked in the iron skillet. These are some sketches from when my husband and I drove to Marfa. It was so dark in West Texas that I couldn't even take a photograph. So I made notes about the colors and what I was seeing so that I could use them later in some paintings. Kept lists of all the animals we saw, both dead and alive. Actually saw a dead owl, one dead owl, 5 dead birds, 1 javelina. I drew the dead bird. Sad. I don't know if you've been to West Texas, but it goes on forever. So these are some color swatches. This is something I do in my practice to keep track of what kind of color I'm using in case I need to go back. More words. I love words. I collect words. Bricolage obviously stood out this day. A lot of the writing you see in my notebooks, it isn't diaristic. It's more like research and notes on things I'm reading or things I'm thinking about for the work. Some of them are snippets of my own thoughts, but most of them are kind of reactionary thoughts to things that I'm absorbing. This is a color study for a painting called Mount Washington Sunrise. And you can see the palette is here. Sometimes I just want to see how the colors are going to play together. Here I am contemplating my place in the universe as something that comes to a point or singularity, re-explodes, shrinks back down to a point or singularity, and then identifying myself as a point of singularity, kind of like James Joyce in Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man. And here's a little thumbnail of that painting as well. Lots of quotes. I love quotes. Color test, airbrush test. Apocalyptic creepiness. That's for sure my own thought. Just kind of testing various tips and color layerings with my airbrush. This is from Hawaii. Can't wait to go back there. I did a little private water class for all the kids of the family we were staying with there on the Big Island. And I was actually teaching a class at the Donkey Mill Art Center as well. Although this is from our painting day at the beach, and I was showing variegated wash, wet and wet technique, how to paint water, flat wash, graded wash, etc. There are these birds there called the common myna. I was imagining the common myna as a middle management bird. They said they were a very common bird, so I thought, wow, middle management. How to do a tapering brush stroke, various textures, grass, wet and wet. Here's the common myna again. Common myna would like some coffee, so that's clearly a self-portrait as the common myna. Did a little beach painting. Love to paint at the beach. Here's a little bit nicer gouache of the common myna eating a cricket. I love their little feet, bird feet. You know, and my work doesn't really employ this kind of imagery these days, but way back in graduate school, I actually did do some paintings of birds, baby birds falling out of the nest. So it's interesting how sometimes imagery cycles back. Maybe not always into your paintings or your work, but they do kind of come back into your thought process. More notes. Oh, this. I was reading about the etymology of the word disaster because so much of my work deals with that. The unfavorable aspect of a star, an obnoxious planet, from the French désastre, the misfortune or calamity. You know, when I wrote this, I wasn't thinking, oh, that's going to be the statement. You know, you keep a sketchbook to keep track of your thoughts so that eventually at some point they may or may not enter into the work. More notes, not so interesting to look at on the video. This is the me drawing the fabric of space as an actual fabric. It's kind of playing around. What happens if it's distorted and planets live on intersections? I love sci-fi, so sometimes trying to visualize the unvisualizable. Is that a word? I don't know. The hard to realize, the impossible to visualize. Those are interesting things for me to think about. Sometimes I just do goofy fun stuff. Here's a drawing of me and my husband. I did schematics for each of us. 2017, I had pneumonia this year and I was hospitalized with a partially collapsed lung, which really hurt. And I brought my sketchbook with me to the hospital and I was making some notes. Here's a little thing to use. Don't use if broken. Off some medical doohickey, I don't remember. But you can see here, I start using that phraseology. Don't use if broken. Some pieces are missing. We care about your well-being. These are all hospital little phrases you see in the hospital. Beach. This is Zuma Beach. I love to paint at the beach. I always take my painting kit with me to the beach. Now this is interesting. I had a photograph of a fire, and one thing that happens sometimes as a fire is advancing is flocks of birds will fly away, fleeing the fire. So I thought it'd be interesting to kind of zoom in here on a part of the painting that isn't necessarily the spectacle, right? Like the fire is the spectacle and this is the periphery, and then focus on that as a painting. Sometimes you have to look away from the flashiest thing that's happening. And when I paint landscapes, I call it the less fancy view. So you want to paint the less fancy view. Are these planes flying into each other or are they kissing? It's up to you, viewer. Oh, this was a good exercise. I was thinking about, when you get very sick, sometimes you think about your life in a retrospective manner. And I was really sick this year with the pneumonia and it took a long time to get better. And so I started thinking about all the work that I made over the years, all the different imagery I'd used, where I'd shown it, and how they were related to each other, and then where that work was going to go from there. So this is a great exercise for any artist who's looking at this video. Make a timeline for yourself, and underneath, kind of keep track of everything you've been doing, and you can look for themes. Ooh, sorry, my phone is just dinged. I'm going to turn that off. Some birds falling from the sky. Confetti painted with gouache. Confetti was in my work quite a bit. I like to take a phrase and just riff on it. There's something. And then I go through all the there's somethings. More color tests. When I get paint, I like to do my own color swatches just because it's like so exciting to get new paint. I want to see what it looks like on the page. And it's just kind of a way to break the paint open so it's less intimidating. And oh, that's the end. Except for there's another color swatch. And these Moschino notebooks have pockets, so let's see what's in here. These become like little time capsules. I love it. So obviously, Kramer gives you a color swatch when you buy the paint. But of course, I had to do it myself anyway. So maybe I should just put this in here with this page. We care about your well-being. Oh, this is the card they put on your tray table at the hospital like this. And you can see I had that phrase in there earlier, kind of like a hotel, right? This is a word, maladministration, corrupt or incompetent administration as of a public office, bad, inefficient, or dishonest management of the affairs of an organization, such as a business or institution. This has been an incredibly useful word over the last 4 years, and I'm really happy now to think about putting this word back to bed. So go back in there. We'll look at you later, maybe, hopefully not. Here's a show card from Trawick for a show I had called Halcyon. Fireworks. Everybody loved my firework paintings. They were very popular, and I don't know, maybe I'll make some more. That firework display at the inauguration was spectacular, so maybe I can paint that. Oh, this is a floor plan for MOA, Museum of Art and History, when I had a retrospective exhibition. Oh, this may be also why I was thinking retrospectively in addition to being sick. I always get a floor plan when I do a show and look at the actual space and measure out all my paintings and figure out how they fit in that space. This is kind of the behind the scenes stuff that you often don't hear about from artists planning exhibitions. I'm very active in this part of any show because I really do like to plan ahead quite a bit. And you can see I've got all my little ideas here. This is a good one to keep. We'll put it back in the pocket too. All right, so that is another sketchbook tour for you. I have so many of them. I guess I'll post some more as I dig them up. But I hope this was useful and helpful for you and will inspire you to start your own sketchbook.